Oh, come. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Today I have Tyson Davis on the show. Tyson is an OG Subto community member. OG stands for Original Gangster. He's like, he is an OG Subto community member, executive marketing director for Global Financial Impact. Welcome, Tyson.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me on and blessing me with the chance to speak to your audience. I'm very humbled and I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So just for the folks, in case anybody's wondering, you are an executive marketing director for Global Financial Impact, specializing in tax advantaged wealth accumulation and protection strategies.
Yes,
I
I
had to
am.
write that down.
Yeah, a little bit complicated, but here, let's just set it like this. I have brought in the creative finance way of looking at life into the financial services space and blended those two worlds. And this has allowed me to open up a new vector to show people exactly how to leverage the same exact mentality that we have in the creative finance space and apply it to what we're doing to accumulate, grow wealth. And most importantly, I think that we all can say this, none of us want to have an extremely high tax rate. So if we can grow our wealth and pay as little tax as possible, I think that's ultimately ideal. So I show how those words work, and then I mix in the infinite banking strategy and layer that on top of this to help show people how to take their investment strategies to the next level.
Awesome. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this would be good for your personal finances as well as maybe a gator strategy or private money lender strategy. Am I right about that?
Well, for a gator or a private money lender, I think it's great. It's not necessarily the right word. It's almost a cheat code. In my opinion, this is a glitch that allows people to really put their money in 2, 3, even 4 places at one time, and to do so while seeing significant gains on the product from not just what they're lending, but also from the product itself. And I think that's one of the superpowers that this tool has. We call it the Swiss Army knife for financial services. But for me, I believe whether you're a gator or you're someone that's lending, it gives you the ability to earn money while your money earns money. Or as I like to say, send your money out to the world and make it come back with friends. We have as many friends as possible, in my opinion.
I love when my money makes friends.
Yes, ma'am. And,
Okay.
and normally who else loves that is Uncle Sam, right? So if we can help your money make friends without sharing those friends with Uncle Sam and keeping them private, that's going to be the ultimate win for us. And so one of the things that I do is I help my clients structure their policies and their vehicles to keep Uncle Sam in his place. And ultimately, it's not necessarily how much money you can make. It's normally how much money you can keep. And with the correct strategies, you'll be able to put larger chunks of money back in your pocket and keep it in your control and never have to really share it if you choose not to.
Awesome. Who doesn't like that?
I love it, actually. Yeah. And so I'm really happy to share this experience with your audience. And hopefully we can spark some good conversation, turn on a couple of light bulbs, put to bed some normal misconceptions, and open up a new vector for some people to really explode what they're doing.
Perfect. So you have a presentation prepared for us, don't you?
I do. And what I'm
Yeah.
going to talk about here, we're going to talk in a couple of layers, right? The first thing I'm going to address is the evolution of life insurance, right? And the reason I want to touch this is because sometimes when people think life insurance, they think death insurance. And the game has absolutely changed in this. So I want to make sure that we have a new paradigm and a new way of thinking about these things and thinking about life insurance as the vehicle that it is and uncover some of the hidden benefits that come along with life insurance, which I'm extremely, extremely, extremely proud to bring to this community. Now, I know that the infinite banking is not a new topic. We've heard it talked about a lot, but I have a way of doing things where I feel puts us in a different conversation and in a different ballpark and I'm going to go through some of those things with us today. So if everybody strap in, buckle up, take some notes. And if you have any questions, feel free to, we love to answer them. And if we have time to, we'll open up a Q&A session and break down any concerns or questions that appear from what I'm trying to do today, right? So Michelle, if you can actually allow me to share my screen, I would love to kind of start walking through some of the key points and really focusing on how life insurance has simply just evolved. Let me fix that for you. How's that look? Does that look a little bit better?
Yes, I think it's yep, it's starting to look perfect. Love it.
So let's talk about this. When we look at how life insurance comes up, again, most people consider life insurance as death insurance. And what they're looking at is having a term policy where you're getting 5, 10, 15, 20, a certain amount of time frame where the life insurance is good for. And there are some great things about terms, and they have carried a lot of families into the future and protected a lot of families. However, we're not in this to run life insurance. What we're earned this to do is to treat life insurance like an additional financial vehicle. So some of the great things about terms that I really want to focus in on is that they're temporary. They're normally far less expensive. But the thing about most people don't know is that 95% of term policies never pay out. So we've all heard the Dane Ramsey strategy, buy term and invest the rest. Well, I don't know how I feel about that, especially when you look at any major metropolitan area in the downtown. The largest buildings there are the insurance companies and the banks. Why? Because 95% of policies don't play out. And it's statistically, people end up dying shortly after their terms. Again, why? Because it becomes dramatically more expensive. Consider being 30 years old and getting a 30-year policy and then trying to renew that at the age of 60, where you're a lot older, a lot sicker, and things are far more expensive. And most people can't afford to pay that second or third term, so they expire without it. And we don't want to have that anymore. The positives, modern terms have living benefits. And I want to say that that is a godsend, but it also gives me an additional benefit for my clients because I take the living benefits portfolio and I do a little bit of special twinkle dust on that. And that allows me to create an additional benefit from taxation that I'll cover in just a second. But you can convert these into permanent policies, no problem at all, which I feel is a huge benefit. You have about 10 years to do that, but you're able to do so. So I know a lot of people are going into the infinite banking strategy with whole life. And I personally, I love whole life. I sell a lot of whole life policies myself. And some of the great things about whole life is instead of it, unlike being a term, it's permanent insurance. What that means is it's good for your whole life, as the term implies, right? And so some things about whole life, you're normally getting about up to a 4% rate of return in a whole life strategy. You also get some additional benefits or dividends on top, which I think are very healthy for you. But in a lot of cases, it's expensive to withdraw your money. So if you're getting a 4% return and you're paying 8% to access that money, that's creating a delta that I think that we need to work on rectifying for our clients. One thing that I don't like about whole life policies, and oftentimes the cash value that you've accumulated is lost upon death. So you have to absolutely leverage this to capacity for the whole life policy to kick in and do some of the things that we wanted to do. What do I mean by that? Well, of course, if I'm purchasing a term of life insurance policy, if I were to pass away during that term, my family receives a death benefit. The same thing applies for the whole life policy. If you pass away, when you pass away, because it's good for your whole life, your family will receive a death benefit. But the element of building cash value in a whole life policy is very strong. The problem is at the end of the day, when you expire, your family has to make a choice between the cash value and the death benefit. And oftentimes the company is going to push you towards keeping that death benefit and the cash value goes back to the company. That is something that I really just couldn't accept for me and my clients. So I teach my clients how to be doing something a little bit better. Another thing about whole life is that I think is a little bit of a concern for me, and it also creates a misnomer in other products, is that you have to pay whole life policies for your entire life. It's very hard to get them to be self-insured. So the premiums must be paid for your entire life. And because you're paying for insurance from if you started at 30 years old, the average cost of insurance all the way out to 120, it can really affect the cost of insurance as well. Now, whole life was around since around 1913. right? And then later on, universal life was brought to the world. Now, very similar. They work off a very similar chassis. It has a 4% average rate of return, which is pretty doggone good. But what a couple of things about universal life is that it does kind of limit you on the growth impact, right? So that's what gave way to the birth of variable universal life. Now, universal life was giving a 4% return, but guess what? With a variable product, if your producer has a securities license, they actually can get you the stock market's return. Couple of benefits there. You have no limit on the growth. So unlike a whole life policy where you're capped at 4%, unlike a universal policy where you're averaging 4%, the variable market is going to put you in the stock market, the S&P 500. So if it goes up 30%, you can get 30%, which is amazing. The problem is that you also are open to unlimited losses. So you can literally lose it all and bankrupt your policy. For example, you remember 2008. Yeah. I still have scars from it. I remember I bought my first home in Oakland, California. I was about 24 years old. I purchased my first home for $665,000. And I'm like, oh my God, we're doing so good. The first 6 months in, we're up $70,000 in equity, and I'm partying and having a great time. And then the bottom fell out. And in about 4 months, I went from being 70 grand up to being $240,000 underwater. Well,
Yeah.
that's the real estate market, and the stock market had a 38% drop. So if your money was in a variable product at that time, or a variable universal life product, you experienced the same loss that the stock market did, and people lost their shirts. It took people 10, 15, 20 years to recover from that. And honestly, a lot of people never recovered because I'm not going to touch on it, but some people chose to take the shortcut out of life, if you know what I mean, because they
Yeah.
couldn't.
I know someone who had a 401k and they bailed after that. They lost a lot of money. A lot of people did. Yeah.
Yeah, and their 401k was more like a 201k in just a couple of days. And it's a brutal thing, right? And so I look at
Horrible.
variable like this. Variable is three things. It's unpredictable, it's unreliable, and it's untrustworthy. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't trust a contractor. I wouldn't trust a title attorney. I wouldn't trust an electrician. I wouldn't trust a realtor. Anybody that was unpredictable, unreliable, and untrustworthy. But some reason we think to put our money in there, 401ks included, right? So I love showing my clients how to escape that and put themselves in a position, get them out of the variable, because it's great when the market goes up. But what I love about these is it can be converted to one of my personal favorite things, which is an IUL. Now, what is an IUL, right? An IUL is an index universal life plan. Now, what I believe Index Universal Life does is it takes the best things out of a whole life policy because you get the permanent insurance, right? It takes the best things out of this because you get a nice rate of return. It takes the best from the variable product because you get the market's growth, but it does some great things for you. It actually limits your ability to lose in the market. Now, it's the number one growth product for that reason. It takes the best of all three and puts it into a nicely wrapped package. Now, what do I mean by that? Your product is able to grow with protection against losses. Meaning with the index strategy, if the market goes up 20%, guess what? You get 20%. But if the market drops 20%, you're actually locked in and don't sustain any losses. Now I'm going to ask you a question, Shanna. I know you normally ask me questions, but I want to ask you one. How would you invest if you knew that you could never lose?
Oh, with a lot.
They were straight up, right?
With confidence, with yeah.
And that's in essence what an IUL does for you. The money that you put into an IUL, it's guaranteed 0% floor. So when the market tanks, you don't tank with it. You're able to sit back and wait for the market to roar back. But here's the thing, I also can reset it. So as the market begins to climb, you climb with it. And I say this all the time to my clients, zero becomes your hero. And I'll show you a little bit more about that just a second. Now, what great thing about universal life is opposed to whole life is where you have to pay the premiums for life. Well, the index IUL plan, you can actually pay for a minimum of 15 years up to the age of 65. The beauty in that is if your investment strategy is not supposed to last forever and you're trying to dump and force as much money as possible, creating a personal private pension for yourself, you can actually cease your payments once you've made your policy self-insured. And what I love about this is that the index is one of the biggest misnomers that I hear about IULs is that they cap your performance and they lower your participation rates. Well, here's the thing. There's 10% indexes, there's 12% indexes, there's 15% indexes, and some no limit indexes. Now, I'll give you a couple of stats here, and if we have time, I may pull up one of my clients' accounts. But during the pandemic, where the market was down over 30%, I had several clients that actually gained 22, 24, and 27% during those time frames. Why? Because we have a stopgap policy. A little bit technical to get into, but just know the flexibility of an index universal life plan puts it on a whole different planet, in my opinion. Now, my question comes to this. If you can also invest without fear of loss, you can get the market's return. And then when you go to access your money, how would you love to be able to access money at 0% interest? Or even if you do pay interest, 0.25% simple interest. What does that mean? That means that you just pay flat money on this. You don't have to worry about APR or paying a percentage every single year. You pay the flat interest on the money that you access. And in my opinion, there could be nothing better than being able to grow your money double digits and access it at all but free of charge. Now, if you were to take the money that you're asking and putting it back into the market where your money can go out in the world and bring friends, I think this is going to be the first step in opening up a lot of eyes to how a gator can explode their investment strategy. Imagine that. If you're getting 15% on your money and then you put it into the world to go get 10 or 12% back, what are you netting? Yeah, you see how it starts to make sense now? If you're putting this money into your flips, if you're using this for an EMD, while you access your money never stops compounding. That is a power play. That is a power. And that puts you in a whole different market space. So I love how life insurance has evolved. And the great thing in real estate, we all know the term 1031 exchange. You buy something equal lesser value, you roll your proceeds over, and guess what? You pay no taxes on anything, and it comes out in the wash. Well, in life insurance, it's a 1035 exchange, and the exact same thing happens. You can 1035 exchange a whole life policy, universal, or a variable product into an IUL. And that gets you into the game, and you roll your money over without having to risk of loss or taxation. IULs, in my opinion, are the most versatile product. They shouldn't be your entire investment strategy, but man, you should be layering this in with what you're doing if you want to see the opportunity for explosive growth. So as I talk about the evolution of life insurance, we see that things have really changed. And hey, look out your window and tell me if you see a T-Rex running down the street. They didn't evolve. They didn't move forward. Don't become like the dinosaurs. Make sure that your investment strategies are evolving with the marketplace. And now with the IUL, this is taking things to the very next level. Now, there are a lot of negative press on IULs. Well, here's the cold reality. It's all true if you choose the wrong person to write your policy for you. They're too expensive if you write them wrong. You won't get your money back if you write them wrong. There's a whole lot of things that I hear about them, but that's why you choose the correct person that is designing products to make money with you and not off of you. Hopefully I can be your guy. And if not, I'll help you find that guy. But I am passionate about watching how this evolution is impacting and changing people's lives, because life insurance has gone from death insurance all the way to true life insurance that you can use while you're alive. And I'm going to ask you a question. If you had to make a choice between a whole life policy and an IUL, I put it in terms of this. If we had two identical apartment buildings, and I'm going to ask this to you again, Shannon, and your artist can answer as well. If we had two identical properties next door to each other, same for same, one of them was rent controlled and the other one was free market and you can charge whatever you want, which would you select?
Oh, obviously the one you could charge whatever you want.
And that's exactly what an IUL is. Because you can go after the full power of the market, you get free market returns. Now, here's the thing. With a whole life policy, I consider that more like rent control because you're flat. You know exactly what you're going to earn minus the dividends. So it puts you in a position where you're kind of bucketed in. So I love the fact that you have these options and most people are just simply unaware about how they work. So one of the biggest things that I do for my clients is I 100% teach them how money works, right? The
Mhm.
three primary rules of money. Have you ever heard of the rule of 72?
No.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Albert Einstein said this about the rule of 72. It's the eighth wonder of the world. Those that understand this earn it, and those that don't pay it. We're talking about compounding interest, right? So the
Oh,
rule 72 says this: you take any percent return, divide it by 72, and that tells you how long it's going to take for your money to double. Does that make sense?
oh, okay. That's completely different than
Different, right? And
okay,
it's a different
gotcha.
way of looking at things. So you can look at it like this. I talked to a young man earlier today, one of my client calls, and he told me he had just purchased a new Ram TRX truck. And he showed me a picture of it, and that thing was by God beautiful. And then that young man told me that he was paying a 21% interest rate on that car. And I said, holy crap. And I used some words that I can't use on your broadcast. But I'm like, how did you get yourself into that? And most people don't realize that the higher the interest rate or APR on money that you access, the quicker it's going to take for that money to compound and you owe more. I'll give you
Mhm.
some examples of this. Right now in your bank account, if you put money in your checking or your savings, they're going to charge you, they're going to give you a sub 1% interest rate. But let's say they're giving you just 1%. If you were to put $10,000 into that checking account, you'd have to come back in 72 years to see that money double. So you put it in 29 years old, you come back at 101. I don't know about you, but I just don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, and meanwhile, they're making a lot more off of your money sitting in there than
100%, right? And it's a slap in the face. And in my opinion, it's kind of disrespectful. So what do? We go and seek out the marketplace, right? Real estate average 8% returns, stock market 40, 401ks, 4 to 6% returns. Well, at 4%, your money's doubling every 18 years. At 6%, your money's doubling every 12 years. So that same 10 grand, it doubles at 29, 41, 53, and 65. And now we're working with $80,000, much better than what we had before. But reality is, if you're using this, let's say for your 401k or your retirement plan, how long would you be able to retire off of $80,000? 13, 14 minutes, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
right. I was gonna I was trying to come up with something.
The bottom line is the way inflation has gone up, it's really made it so important that we get bigger and better returns. I'm teaching my clients how to go after double digit returns where your money at 12%, your money is doubling every 6 years. Look at this: 29, 35, 41, 43, 59. At 65, where you would have had 80,000 at just 6%, at a 12% return, you have 640 grand. Now we're talking. Now we can do something with this. Hey, it may not be perfect, but we're in a far better position. What if I told you that my clients are averaging 15.41% for the last 5 years, leveraging
They're
this strategy?
averaging what?
15.41% for the last 5 years. If we
Oh,
stretch it out over 10 years, we're averaging 12.42%. This is where we should be. Because as your money accumulates, we want it to accumulate as rapidly as possible, right? And then let's talk about how money grows. In a fixed strategy, if we were in the hospital right now and we looked up at the EKG, the heart monitor on the wall, and we saw this happen, what would we say just took place?
somebody just died.
We flatline, right? And I don't know about you, but I don't want my money to flatline. But this is what takes place when you have a fixed return, whether that's 4%, 1%, your money is completely flat. There's no opportunity for true growth. Now,
Right.
for me, I like the fact that my money can grow. So when people put their money in a bank account or they put them in whole life policies, this is kind of what happens. It's slow and steady. Now, some people say slow and steady wins the race. Well, hey, man, I don't know about you,
No,
but
you
I
know who made up that saying? The banks.
the
They want
slowest
you
people
to
ever.
believe it.
Yes, man. And I bought a Tesla for a reason because I like to go fast, right? I want to get there safely, but I want to get there quickly. And I want to get there in the best way possible. So what do? Instead of doing this, we put our money where it's risky in the stock market and other things like that as we're trying to grow our investment power. Well, the problem with the stock market is it goes up, but then also comes down. Now, Shannon, have
There's
you ever been to Las
2008
Vegas?
right there.
Yes, it is. That's I literally 2008. This is this is a look back, and guess what this is right here? This is when the
Right now. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, it's bouncing back now. It's on the way up, which is really good. It's been on a tear, but how long can we expect those tear to last? Let me ask you, have you ever been to Las Vegas before?
No.
No. Well, I want you to know when you go into those high-rise hotels, you can't open the windows. You know why? A lot of people in Vegas have went right there. They've gambled it all away. They lost it all. They don't
Oh,
want you to leave a stain on that pretty building on your way down. So they actually shut
right.
the window short. But here's my question to you. Why would we ever put our money where we can lose it all? Why would we gamble with our future? Why would we gamble with our investments? Why would we gamble with our nest egg? Why would we gamble with our war chest? Why would we gamble with our ability to provide an estate to our family? It makes no sense.
Mhm.
Remember, unpredictable, unreliable, and untrustworthy. Well, I show all of my clients about the index strategy as opposed to the fixed. When the market goes up, we go up. But what do you see happens when the market begins to go down? What do you see right there?
It just stays the same. It doesn't dip. It just stays where it's at if the
It's the
market's
same.
going down.
So if I call this a roller coaster, I call this a heart attack. If this is a flat line, I call this a stairway to heaven. Why? Because
Ah,
we're able to lock in your gains every single time. As the market climbs, we lock it in because as it falls, we don't participate in any of the downturn. This again is a cheat code because it allows your money to grow safely, securely, and predictably. I know for a fact I may not win it all, but I will not lose a penny. And that, in my opinion, is how we can protect your money. And then this is the big boy. How does your money get taxed? Things that you grow in brokerage accounts, or if you sell your real estate, you get your corporate, your capital gains tax immediately. A lot of people try to find ways to move this stuff around. So we invest with IRAs and things of that nature because we hope to get taxed later. I call that taxation procrastination.
that is so cute.
It is what it is. And let me ask you, when is the last time you procrastinated on something and it got better?
Never.
Never. I'm 43 years old. I won't be eligible to retire. Well, you know they're trying to raise the retirement age now to 70, huh? But I'm 43 years old. What do you think the tax rate will be once I go to collect my money in 20 plus years? Does any of
It's
us
gonna be
know?
ridiculous.
And the thing is we don't know. We've entered in a silent contract with an unknown person that says, you know what? I'm going to put my money with you. I'm going to grow with you. And when it matures and I want to get my investment back, you just keep however much you want. Don't worry about telling me how much you're going to keep. I'll live off the rest. We would
Mhm.
never make that deal, but we make it every day when we invest our money in these strategies. I'm
I know.
going to teach my clients how to get cash executive bonus plans, cash that accumulates in insurance policies, municipal bonds, Roth IRAs, tax advantage strategy. I'm going to highlight the cash accumulation in insurance policy. Why? Because cash that accumulates in an insurance policy, it grows tax free. You can access it tax free, and you can transfer it tax free to your future generations. Now, I want you to tell me how else can you do that? Is there any other way that you've ever heard of that allows you to grow it, access it, and transfer it without tax? I'm not
No.
gonna hold my breath because I'm not gonna fall out and pass it on your camera, right? But that's the reality is that this is one of the only ways to really rocket fuel, put jet fuel on your investment strategies and know that it's growing without you having to cut a check to anyone else. Now, if you had to choose, are you going to keep putting your money in the bank, get 1% fixed return and get your money taxed immediately? Or do you want to keep fueling a 401k where you can risk it all and procrastinate on paying your taxes? Or do you want to go where you're getting double digit returns, protected by the market, guaranteed you can't lose it, and it's growing tax, accessing tax free and transferring tax free? I mean, it's a no brainer for
I'm
me.
gonna go with the last one, Bob, for 500, please.
Yeah, not 500, 500,000 because you won't pay it down
Right.
the tax, right? Every day and twice on Sunday. But this is what I show my clients how to do, how to take advantage, and how to leverage it. And this is the foundation for infinite banking. Infinite banking has been out there. It's a term. It's just like generational wealth. People throw it around, they abuse it. And my God, I think most people simply just don't understand it. But it sounds good, right? But let's jump into the big guy. Infinite banking and that strategy, how an IUL and a family bank can be used to maximize and protect you, right? Now, we talked about this. If you have a pot of money, what do we do with it right now? We immediately throw it in the bank. And we talked about it. The bank is giving us 0 to 1% return, and you're taxed immediately on anything that you grow. Did you know that the FDIC is insuring the money that goes into the bank for up to $250,000 every account? Did you know that? Most people do.
Mm,
Do you know what the
okay.
FDIC stands for?
Federal.
deposit, insurance,
Insurance
corporation.
Corporation. Federal
Hmm.
Deposit Insurance Corporation. See, I
Yeah.
never really
Never really thought about it, right?
right. You know what it is, but you never think about what the letters mean.
And you know what I say it stands for? Your funds don't increase correctly. That's what it stands for, because your money is in here and it's growing at 0 to 1%. Your money's not increasing. As a matter of fact, your money's going reverse. Ask question: if you're getting 1%, and that's being kind, but inflation has been averaging 9%, what are you really getting? You're actually losing 8% of your money every year that is sitting inside that bank. And it doesn't really stop there. The bank, fractional reserve banking is a term that we all should research, because that allows the bank to take every dollar that you put into it and actually give it out 24 times promised in loans. I'm going to say that again. Imagine a world where you give somebody $1 and they spread it around to 24 different people. Interesting. And in
Mhm.
exchange for that, they give you 1% return. But what happens when you need money from the bank? Oh, here they come with it, right? Credit cards, 29%, student loans, 10%. Auto loan. I said today, a guy had a 21% loan on his car, on a Ram truck. I've never seen anything like that. Mortgage rate, 7.5%, 8% in some cases. Bottom line is they charge you out the yin yang to access the same money that they borrowed from somebody else.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Why would we ever trust anybody that behaves that way? Right? And then what does the bank do with their money? Most people don't know this, but the bank takes their money after they've charged you all this beautiful interest, after they split it around 24 times, they take their money and they put it directly in the insurance company, where they're enjoying an 8 to 15% return. Did you know that?
No.
No. So let me ask you a question. If the
Why
bank,
those little beep?
if they don't even trust themselves with the money, they take it and put it over here. And here's why: because it grows tax free and it grows risk free. Because the bank takes advantage of the same index strategy that I showed you about on the last slide. Where the
Oh.
market goes up, they go up too. When the market begins to tank, they don't participate in any of the downturn. This is called BOLI, BOLI, or bank owned life insurance. Now,
Mm.
BOLI is a powerful tool because it allows them to park their money where it grows and they don't have to worry about it. It also allows them to use a term called COLI, corporate owned life insurance. Corporate owned life insurance allows me to build this same policy and tuck funds out of your corporation into your personal control, where it too grows 15%, where you can access it tax free, where it grows tax free, and it can be transferred to your next generation tax free. Now, I don't know if people in Sub 2 have these things called corporations or S Corps. I don't really know. But if they do, they may want to explore the power of an executive bonus plan and how that can really change their investment lives. And I'll be
So
happy
just like in seller finance, we get to become the bank.
to come the bank.
Do
And
what the
here's what:
banks do.
do what the banks do. Go get 15% and then put your money right back on the street and go get 10, 11, 12% at the same time. So
Mhm.
now you're netting 23, 24, 25% on the same money. It's an amazing system. And if you just, and I can't, this is not advice, but just you tell me, Shannon, what would happen if I leveraged a HELOC, $250,000 HELOC,
Mhm.
pulled that money out, put it inside one of my infinite banking strategy. Now that money is accruing at 15% interest. And then I pull that money out and I filled up the HELOC again. So now I don't owe that debt anymore. And
Just
my
in
money,
case anyone's out there that doesn't know, that's home equity line of credit. Line of
yes,
credit against the equity in your house.
a lot of credit gets the equity of your home. It is a strategy that some savvy people use to really fuel their financial independence, to fuel their ability to lend and loan, but also it puts you in a different stratosphere because again, now your money's in a couple of places at one time. Now, my
Mhm.
question is this: here is why the bank puts their money in the insurance company. Remember, over here, for every $1 you put in, they give it out 24 times. Well, the insurance company is the exact opposite. For every $10 you put in, they only give out one. So let me ask you a question. Who is the more fiscally responsible person? The one person that gets $1 and spends it 24 times, or the guy that gets $10 and only spends one? Who do you think is going to be the safest?
Obviously, the second one.
And that's why we all have heard the term bankrupt. But I challenge you, has anyone ever heard the term insurance rupt?
No.
Because there's never been one that went out of business, right? And this is called reinsurance. Insurance companies are federally required to have enough cash on hand to pay out all of their debts at any point in time. So
But not the banks. Now, isn't that backwards?
yeah, it's
And they
literally.
don't even tell you that a lot of people don't even know that you can use your insurance money, take it out early.
Yeah, most people actually, about 95% of Americans have no idea. That's why
Oh,
with creative, if you think about it, how many people in America know about creative finance, right? It's a
right.
very similar vein of people. So what happens when we have these innovators, these visionaries, these great thinkers, these action takers in this space, leveraging this kind of strategy? Rocket ship. You can
Yes.
actually take off and rocket fuel all of your investment strategies. Now, here's the thing. I want to get the bank out of your life. Get rid of them altogether. Are they useful for something? Sure. I keep a couple of grand in the bank because my wife really likes Target for some reason, and I want to let her go without her asking me any questions. So I
She
do
likes
keep
to call it
money in
Target.
Target, and I
A little bougie.
every time she goes in there, I shiver a little bit. I'm like, what's coming in? What's being rearranged in my house today? But no worries, it's beautiful. She has the talent. Hey, she's a closer. She picked me. Let me just. But here's the deal. What I want us to do is to go around the bank and do what the bank does. Put their money where the bank gets their money. Put their money where the bank knows it's safe. Put their money where it's growing tax-free, where it's growing risk-free, where you can get a double-digit returns without any fear of loss. And guess what? With our Gators, just like the bank is charging for the access to their money, well, you do the exact same thing. When you're a lender, you lend out of a pile of money that's accruing at 15%. Now, let me ask you a question, Shanna. If I'm lending money out of my pile, there's always a risk of loss, isn't there? If that person forecloses, if they disappears, if they whatever happens, the deal goes south, there's a risk that I can lose that money, right?
Yes.
Is it? What if, because we leverage this strategy, you potentially indemnify from even that kind of loss?
Wait a minute, say that
One,
again?
you could potentially be indemnified of loss because your deal fell through. And I'm going to tell you why. Remember, you only pay simple interest when you're leveraging insurance. So that means, and there's also no term in the plan, you can pay it back in 30 days or 30 years without any difference. But because when you lend out of this strategy, you never stop compounding interest, that money that you lost to that bad deal actually gets replenished by the market's growth over time. It comes right back to you like a boomerang. That is a glitch
Whoa.
we can take advantage of. Now, is that what we're looking for? Heck no. Again, we send our money in the world and bring it back with friends. But with patience, your money can be restored. And there's no other way to do that in these other strategies. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yes.
This is a form of protection that we must add in. Again, this structure has been in existence since 1913. Some of the names that's used this made it popular was the Rockefeller family. They started doing these things a long time ago, but they didn't have the power of doing indexed universal life. This was actually invented and brought to the light in 1997. I could imagine what the Rockefeller fortune would look like, because remember, getting 2, 3, 4% during the Great Depression was historic. Now it's not enough to keep up with inflation. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
they were getting 15% back there, they would be cajillionaires by now, and they probably own the whole world. They don't own the world right now. They don't own it at all. Don't listen to that. But here is how this works, right? This is balanced on the back of the United States tax code. These are not Tyson's words. The Internal Revenue Code 162. Remember, I told you to remember when we talked about the ability to have living benefits and long-term care. Well, when I add that to your policy, guess what? It makes your premiums tax deductible, not fully a portion of them. But even though you're getting all this benefit, you actually get a tax deduction for doing it. What? The same thing happens when your executive bonus plan, because you're providing an element of health insurance for your employee, quote unquote, you're actually able to get a deduction for it. So it can, even though you're getting all these benefits, you get a deduction on your taxes. Now, Internal Revenue Code 72E TEFRA, it lets your money grow tax-free. 77028 DEFRA, it lets you access the money tax-free with loans. And TAMRA 101A allows you to transfer this forward to your beneficiaries, also tax-free, completely avoiding probate, completely avoiding estate tax. How do you love that?
Phenomenal.
The infinite banking strategy is a game changer when leveraged appropriately.
Mhm.
Now, imagine a world where we layer this with a trust. Huh? Okay, think about this. We want to own nothing and control everything. I'm not going to go too deeply into that strategy today. Reach out to me if you want to see how a trust can add an additional benefit, an additional couple of layers of anonymity, protection, and security. The infinite banking strategy, when applied correctly, I feel is the most powerful investing strategy that we can have. Why? How else can you grow your money tax free? How else can you grow your money risk free? How else can you grow your money double digits? And how else can you grow your money while having full liquid access to it? I can't think of a way. And if you do, I'm coming with you. But until then, you should probably come with me. All right. So I'm going to go a little bit of detail how this works, right? With infinite banking strategy, the policyholder, if we were setting a policy up for you, you would make your premium payment to the insurance company. So your premium contribution goes into the insurance company. The insurance company then goes out and purchase index strategy for you. So a percentage of your premium, normally 80, 85%, 90, 95%, whatever it is, or however we design it, depending on how much insurance you need. And then the rest goes into your cash value, where we're averaging 8 to 15% return. Now, look at this. This is a power play. Policyholders can take out tax-free loans against the policy at a minimum interest rate, actually in a lot of cases down to zero. The loan amount in which you borrow will be determined by how much cash you value would build within it. Now, some people call this the rich man's Roth. Why? Because in a Roth, you can only put X amount of, I think it's $7,500 into it per year.
Mhm.
Ask me what the limit is on an IUL and how much you can put into one of these policies.
What is the limit?
The limit's the sky. The sky's the limit. The limit's the sky. There is no limit on the amount of money that you can put into this. And so that's why it's an extremely powerful strategy for the wealthy. But for those of us that are not there yet and are still building our boat, are still building our empire, this is one of the most beautiful things, because you're able to get there and get high interest rate returns while you're building your nest egg. So whether or not you already have a massive war chest to play with, or somebody that's just starting out, these policies can be customized to meet you exactly where you are and add this little bit of extra fuel to your journey. Now, pay attention to this. The money can be used for anything. No one asks you any questions about where the money goes, right? And it does not need to be paid back, because your cash value and your death benefit are used as collateral. What does that mean? Well, you've heard the term OPM. What does that stand for in this space? OPM.
Other people's money.
Other people's money, baby. And guess what? In this strategy, we do the same thing, which is why I said they coalesce and they mesh so well. And the other people's money that we leverage are the beneficiaries. So in my policy, my children and my wife are the beneficiary. So when I borrow money, I'm borrowing for the money that they will receive when I pass, not the money I put in. That allows the money that I put in to continue to cartwheel and gain and grow and move with the market as I access it to put it in the street to go find some friends to play with. That's a power play, because I'm now leveraging the same strategy of other people's money to enrich my family. So what happens when my deal comes back good? I take that money and I put it back in, growing my war chest. Now I'm compounding on the new figure, and I can just keep doing it again, which is why it's considered infinite. Now, if you're leveraging the loans for investment opportunities, like real estate, like lending, if you're doing that, then your money can potentially earn interest on the same dollar 2 to 3 times at once. I personally structured plans where we got up to 4 and then 5 at one time. You want me to run you through it really quickly?
Sure.
We take
Please.
the money from a credit card, fill up the IUL. Then we get a HELOC, we take that money and pay that in as well. We pull the money out, pay back the credit card, that debt satisfied, but the money never leaves the IUL. Now it's compounding, and now we refill the HELOC. So that money now is a revolving line of credit, and then we take the balance and then go out and purchase a real estate property. So now that same dollar just five times. Now, did I say that quickly? Yes, I did intentionally. I don't want you going out there and try to leverage a strategy like this without an expert and somebody that's helping you out. You can get yourself screwed up, turned around, and twisted. You need to follow a strategy. You must work with somebody that has a strategy for you. And if they can't articulate a strategy, run for the hills. But there is potential for amazing things that comes out of this. Now you see why I'm so passionate about this? Where else can you do this? How else can you do this? But it's really simple concept if you know what you're doing. And if you don't, you can really mess somebody up. So make sure that you choose somebody wisely. If they can't explain to you TAMRA, DEFRA, TEFRA, they can't explain to you long-term care, IRC codes 162, then you probably shouldn't be working with them. It's a callback really quickly. 401k, that's just a tax code. Most people don't realize that. 1031, that's just a tax code. Most people don't realize that. And the same tax code 77028 is just a tax code, but it allows me to do some amazing things. And I'm going to walk you through the pure power of the 7702 plan. We've all heard of 401k. Most people couldn't articulate 7702. They never heard of it, but let's talk about it. There's perks that comes with having an IUL. It gives you protection. If you pass away, there's a death benefit for your family. It gives you the ability to generate an emergency fund because you're using this as your banking structure and you're growing double digits. But guess what? Unlike a 401k, there's no 59.5 rule. What does that mean, Tyson? In a lot of these pre-tax programs, you cannot access the money before 59.5. If you do, you get hit with a 10% penalty, and then you pay federal and state taxes on top of that, unless you're lucky to live in Nevada, Florida, or Texas. Then you don't pay the state. But guess what? Uncle Sam still wants his cut. There's no 59.5 rule with the 702 plan. This can be leveraged for your retirement. Imagine taking your money out of the 401k network where you can lose it all, putting it in here where it's growing safely, and now it grows tax-free, and you just created for yourself a personal, private, pension-like plan that allows your money to pay out to you for the rest of your life tax-free.
Can you 1031 it from the 401k into this?
No, but I
It
have
will
a
get
strategy for
taxed when
that.
you take it out?
It does, but you need to work with somebody
So
special, because guess
speed.
what? I got an answer for that. While that is painful, I do what's called a strategic rollout. And then that would be time for another episode, because that's going to blow people's minds of what we can do there. Again, there's a will, there's a way. So think about it. We all have heard of 529A plans where we put money into funds for our kids to go to college, but those funds are really restrictive. If they don't go to an accredited university, they can't get that money without taxation. Well, guess what? You can build the same kind of plan here where they can access that money. And I'm going to give you a secret. Every dime that grows inside your IUL is not reported to FAFSA. You can have $5 million in an IUL and still get financial aid because you don't report this money, right? And it gives you the savings, averaging 12.41% since 2000, not since for 24 years. The IUL has been pushing at 12.41%. It's outpacing the market because of it. Now, I build the infinite banking structure on top of a family banking chassis. When I say a family bank, I mean this. Well, what happens when we start getting policies on everyone in the family? Right now, if the elders in the family pass away, it creates a calamity. Did you know that I'm going to just be not political, but I'm going to be a little racial here. In the Black and brown community, GoFundMe contributes to 42% of funerals. 42%. That means our people are begging in the town square for help to bury their loved ones. It's heartbreaking. It's very sad, and we can do something about it. But when the elders pass away, now it creates heartbreaking calamity. Well, if you're using a family banking structure, that them passing takes away the sting of death because it actually builds an endowment for the family. And a family bank is a very powerful tool. Family bank, along with a family office, if you're doing those things correctly, my God, the ability and the power that comes out of that. Some of the benefits that comes with an IUL, death benefit protection, we talked about that. But did you know that with an IUL, The IRS cannot breach this and take the money or access the money in this account. If you owe back taxes, that doesn't come out of here. Creditors, predators, malpractice. If you get sued, somebody has a slip and fall in your Airbnb and they attack you personally, the money in your IUL doesn't exist. Wage garnishments. If you file for bankruptcy, the money in your IUL is not included in the proceedings. It's secure, it's protected, it's invisible. They're designed to outpace inflation, and they're immune to market loss because you have the 0% floor. The IUL, the family bank, the infinite banking strategy puts an electric fence around your money that doesn't let all these guys that are looking to pinch you away, take money away, because everybody knows as soon as you get money, there's so many people coming trying to take it from you. Well, good luck getting into and piercing the veil on an IUL. And again, when we layer this with the proper trust, with eyelids, right? And I can go on that in another episode. When we layer that with the proper trust and the proper structures, you can completely disappear and your money stays in control of you and your family for eternity. Some of the trust I build for my clients are designed to last 340 years into the future. All this becomes possible because we are leveraging the appropriate tax codes. The IUL is exactly where we need to be if we're looking to explode our investing journey, if we're looking to protect our money, if we're looking to grow our money, if we're looking to lend our money, if we're looking to grow our money tax-free, if we're looking to transfer our money tax-free. I can just keep going with the benefits of it. And the reality is most people say this right here. This sounds too good to be true. The reality is it's not too good to be true. It's too good to be free. You got to pay for it. It's going to cost you a little bit of money. You have to pay for the insurance, right? But then also you have to qualify. Only about 70% of people will because of health reasons. But at the end of the day, it costs you nothing to inquire about this plan, to run an application, have some underwriting done, and seeing how this can be beneficial to you and your family. And I'm excited the fact that I get to bring this to you. I'm excited the fact that I get to open the world for creative finance to this opportunity. And I love building these because again, it lets me make money with my people, not of it. Hey, if I help a Gator to design a product like this, and then I end up in a position where now they become one of my biggest lenders, hey, we're having a good time, right? Because their money's growing tax free, their money's growing double digits, and they can put it right back on the street to people like me that's going out to purchase homes. This is a power play. It's a power play, and it changes things, right? I call it a full-on disruption. Now, is all of this pretty clear? Is it still pretty? Have I done a good job explaining it so far? Would you say?
Yes.
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're almost done here, and this is where the IUL shines. I'm going to show you here a look back from the end of 1997 all the way to 2020. If we compared an IUL to a mutual fund, a 401k, or an IRA, we put in $250,000 at the end of 97. And let's just take a look at what happened. Boom. In 2000, 2001, 2002, when the World Trade Center happened, 2008, when the market collapsed, we see that massive things happen, right? So we lost 12%, 8%, 24% consecutively. Now from 97 to 2002, look, we're under by 25 grand. We fight back, we grow our money back, and then 2008 rips the table from under us, and now we're down at $207,000, 43,000 below where we started. 2003 had a very small dip, didn't really hurt us that much, and we climbed back to 580 grand. Now we're doubled up. We're doing pretty good, right? We're double, right? Well, then 18 happens and we lose 7%. And then now, but 2019, we in the market roars. We're up to 705,000, and then the cough comes through, and it just bankrupts us again. Could you imagine if this was your retirement strategy and you got to 2020 and it was time to retire and you lost 34% of your nest egg? Would you
That's
still be?
insane. And you know what? A lot of people did retire around then.
A lot of people did, yes. And it hurt them, and they put people in where they couldn't retire. Well, let's look at a world when you have an IUL. I limited this IUL to 25% because otherwise it just simply wouldn't be fair. The same 250 grand, the same market. Do you notice when this market is down 12, 8, and 24% consecutively, what does my guy do? Zero.
Freeze.
No. So zero becomes your hero. Let me hear you say it. Zero is your hero. Let me hear you say it.
Not 0 to hero. 0 is your hero.
It is your hero. Because if we look here, the guy on the left dropped to 225 grand, my guy on the right was sitting pretty 371, 371, 371, no losses. And when the guy on the left jumped 24%, I jumped 24% also, but I jumped 24% of 371 and he jumps 24% of 225. You never catch up. And as this continues to grow to now look at this at 2008, when the market drops, or it drops again. Well, my guy's sitting at 609 and you're at 207. Do you see a little bit of a difference there?
Yeah. You know what
Same money.
this reminds me of? It reminds me of that game you used to play in gym class or with the kids or whatever. It's like you had to run from one side of the room to the other, but every time the counting person turned around, everybody had to freeze.
Yeah, free stack.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is, right? Because we never drop, because we never retreat, because we never go back, because we never lose. At the end of this party, we go from 250,000 to 2 million. And guess what? 250,000 to 465. The job is already done. Oh, no, it isn't. Because guess what? Now you owe taxes on what's left.
Right.
So then you end up with a 348,000. This is a true look back of the market. This is what happened.
This shows it all. This chart shows it all. Look at that.
Which one is better for you and your family? I'll let you decide.
Wow.
This is the power that an IUO brings into your life. Now,
it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer every day and twice on Sunday. If you're investing with this fund, imagine what you can do with it. Just imagine. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. This is liquid. And while this is on the street, it still gets all the compounded growth.
And then the one on the gray side, you can't even take that out without being heavily taxed.
Exactly. Even if you access it. Now, some people do self-directed IRAs, right? But you can do that. But here's the thing. While you have your money on the street, all progress stops. Did you know that the average American has about $168,000 in their 401k at the age of 60? That's it. Do you know why? Because about 15 years in, they take a hardship loan to go purchase a property, not knowing that it stunts their growth for the rest of the time. So while they borrow that money out, your money and your ability to grow freezes until you put the money back and it begins to grow again. It completely destroys your growth curve. If you have the same issue, imagine this: we're 10 years into this policy. We have 609,000, and I want to go pay for my daughter to have a $300,000 wedding. Could I do it? Who's going to stop me?
There's $300,000 weddings.
I love my baby. You see this? For that smile, for this smile right here, whatever she wants, I'm going to do it. But that's why I have an IUL. Now I'm going to introduce the topic for you that I want your people to chew on. It's called the $1 Million Baby. I'm done sharing this screen. You can stop that for me. And I'm going to talk just really briefly about the $1 Million Baby plan.
Okay.
And I want you to imagine a world. Just imagine a world where you're able to prepay your child's retirement. I'm gonna leave it there. So my daughter, she made 2 years old on Monday, right? Her 14th day on this plan, and I built $1 Million Baby plan. I'm putting in $500 per month. That policy, by the time she's 18, will have $182,000 in it due to the compound interest effect. Could I pay for college with that? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
When she's 24, 25 years old, it'll have closer to 300 grand in there because of the compound effect. Her money's doubling every 6 to 12 years, right? When she's 30 years old, she's going to have closer to 500 grand. My daughter will be a millionaire in her policy on her 40th birthday. She will be a millionaire.
And that's if she doesn't put any money in herself.
That's if I just run that $500. But here's the kicker. On her 30th birthday, I make my last payment. Remember, with an IUL, I don't have to pay this for life.
Oh, right.
On her 30th birthday, I make my last payment. And on her 40th birthday, she becomes a millionaire. When my daughter is 64 years old and ready to retire, because of the codes that are built in, the riders built in, she has a guaranteed income for life rider. My daughter will receive $350,000 per year tax-free for the rest of her life. Guaranteed income rider. There's no other way to do that. Now, we're going to bring back. Now my daughter's 15 again. We saw the growth curve. We saw what's going to happen. Her $500 plan creates $8 million of life insurance at 64 years old. Insane because of the growth curve. Imagine just compounding for 60 plus years. We're going to go back to age 15. What happens if I pull that money and I buy one house per year until her 20th birthday? One or two. Leveraging the money in her IUL to go out there and creatively finance homes. My daughter will graduate college with 5, 6, 7 homes under her belt, receiving passive income for the rest of her life. Now, does that stop the money from compounding in our IUL? No, it still continues to grow. But now who's paying for that policy? Our tenants. Who will my daughter ever have to work for? No one. And she won't have to rely on none of y'all.
I was thinking, I wasn't going to say it, but I was like, why is she going to go to college?
Why?
She could just be in real estate.
For what? For what? Why would she go? She doesn't have to. And that money can be used for anything. And guess what? If my daughter doesn't follow the track that I want, who is the owner of the policy? Me. I own it. I operate it. It's in her name, but I operate it, and my trust operates it. But when and I pass that money over and she meets the criteria, then my trust has set forth for her. She inherits that money 100% tax-free. The decision that I made on our 14th day on this planet will feed children that I will never meet. I don't want to get biblical, but the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. But now, sadly, most of us are leaving debt behind. Most Americans are.
Yeah.
It's time to change that. The life insurance has evolved. I want to show you how the infinite banking strategy will align us with where the future is going, will put us in a position to turbocharge our investing strategies, will get some protections and some safety around our money and change the paradigm. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to your people today. I hope that we took something out of this. I really do. And hopefully we can open up some channels so we can have continued conversation. I'm Tyson Davis. This is what I love to do. I'm not an insurance guy. I'm a Subto guy that knows how insurance works.
Yes. And the beauty of this, and one of the many reasons I love YouTube, is this video is not going to disappear. It's going to be sitting there, and anybody who searches for infinite banking or anything like that, retirement funds, those are the kinds of things where a video like this will pop up. So that's the beautiful thing about this.
Yes. Things need to be properly structured, man. And that's where all the misnomers come from. Whenever I hear the side talk about it, it has to be a couple things. Your producer has to be some kind of scam artist or charlatan or somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. They have to design the product horribly, intended to make them money and not you money. And it has to be with a company that doesn't pay out dividends or limits what your growth looks like. If you choose the right person, the right strategy, and the right vehicle, sky's the limit. And I think I might be that person for you all. So anybody that wants to reach out, I'm definitely here. I'm hopefully we can have some conversation. And Shanna, how much should I charge people to have this conversation with me?
$0.
$0. I don't charge for it because I absolutely love doing it. Thank you guys so much for your time today. And ultimately, Shanna, if you have any other questions for me, I would love to answer them.
No, actually, this is my second time hearing all this. I love it. I did learn some new things. And yeah, this is great. So you can reach out to Tyson with his email. The description box after the show will have, and the show notes on all the platforms will have links that you can also access certain information or schedule something with Tyson so that he can have a one-on-one and get a little more in depth with your questions and make sure that you understand everything. So in today's day and age, we're used to having to do everything super fast, and this is definitely something that'll be worth your time to take the time to understand. I know a lot of people are probably driving home right now or having dinner, but definitely reach out to Tyson.
And Shanna, I can share my QR code maybe if that would be helpful.
Yeah, we can do that.
How to do that. But this QR code is that my calendar is also attached. So if I can share my Go
And you
ahead.
know where else it's gonna be?
Where?
It's also on the thumbnail. So
Okay,
before
perfect.
anybody hits play, boom, the QR code is right there.
Beautiful. And
So
so if I'm able to do that, I'll be more than
sure.
happy to work with anybody here, help you understand the ins and outs, put you in a position where you can be protected, and hopefully, like I said, take this community to the next level and show people their true power that these things have beyond whatever concerns or whoever has something to say about it. Hey, let's get some good information out there. Let's help some good people do some great things on this planet.
Okay, there's the QR code, guys. And I guess if anybody wants to scan it, they could pause the video afterwards, right?
That QR code will take you to my Blink profile. On there, I have a couple of videos that you may find interesting on how to build a tax-free retirement, how to save money with your 401k and invest that money for the future with security. What I can do with a fixed index annuity will blow your mind. I'm doing great in IUL. In fixed index annuities, I'm averaging over 17%, and that's over 20 years on a couple of the products that we have. Insane. A lot of them have bonuses that give you, 10, 15, 20% as well to put your money over there. Why leave your money where it's vulnerable and unsafe in the market where you can put it where it's protected, where it's guaranteed that you can't lose it, and where you
Yeah.
can generate access of guaranteed income for life? Let's change how people retire, right?
And
Let's
if
put
you wanna send me those links, I'll put those links in the description box as well so that they
100%.
can.
I will happily do that. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you so much. And if there, I'm here and I love to do this. Let me know if I can help any of you all out.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Once again, that's Tyson's email there. And we will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.